back to Nerd Legion.
Hey, welcome back to the Legion, guys.
Hey, welcome back to the Legion Alerts. Holy shit, that sounded weird. What did I say there? Like, Legion of Nerds? Or like, I don't know how I say it. Like, maybe, do I sound like I have an accent with that?
Maybe no, definitely not. But you did say
Nah,
Legion of
just
Nerds last time.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's our call sign, basically.
Call sign and backwards sayings.
All right.
Like we said, guys, welcome to the Legion. Please, if you're new here, just please subscribe and click the bell below, and and click the like as well to see if we're doing a good job. Leave a comment too. See how join the conversation and what we're saying, because we like to hear from you guys as well.
Join the Legion today.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So what's the topic today? We're going to be talking about DC.
Yeah, dude, you were dying to talk about this for a while. I was just sitting back here being like, okay, Jose has a lot to say about the DC universe and the films in general. So why don't you take the reins on this first?
Okay, I can start us off with a topic, I guess, with what's going on. Nathan, you wanted to talk about the Batfleck, Return to Batfleck. Yeah, as well. So what have you seen with that? I haven't seen a lot with that, to be honest with you, because that's like the newest news on Twitter, as much as
yeah, looks like it's a whole campaign with wanting to bring Ben Affleck back as the Batman, just to continue playing the character because I don't know. I guess he's achieved some kind of cult following since playing the character. I remember
Cult
back
following.
when Batman v Superman was coming out and everybody was laughing about Ben Affleck being cast as Batman because of his less than stellar portrayal of Daredevil in a Daredevil movie all those years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Ben Affleck had like a little bit of a rough time, especially like in his early 2010 days. Like especially where like he was cast as Daredevil back in 2004, I think, and then he got a very bad rap for that, and then he played in various other films in the future, and then that got his actor status like almost revoked at that point because it was those films he was starred in were so bad. But now, like, after when he did The Town, I think it was in 2012 that movie got released, then his career slowly came back up, and then that's when Batman v Superman with Ben Affleck going in as Batman, his now career path is now back in the running. So I think, like, even if Ben Affleck doesn't even want to play as Batman anymore, I think he has enough star power to continue on. It's just, it will go downhill if he doesn't find the next best thing.
Yeah. See, the problem that I see with Ben Affleck, and I love the actor, first of all, I just got to say that out there. And yeah, I mean, his portrayal of Daredevil was hugely criticized, and it wasn't well received. You know, it didn't even age well. I kind of looked at the movies, his one movie there back then, and just it was kind of rough,
It's like Ryan Reynolds with Green Lantern.
Oh, God. Don't even go there with that. I have a lot to say about that.
And he hated himself. And he hated himself for doing that, obviously.
I don't blame him at all. I don't blame him at all. Like, dude, like...
He shot himself in the back of the head, all right, in the Deadpool movie.
Yeah, like, I bet that was his mood after when the movie got released.
Jesus Christ. Just to make up for that. But no, I get it, and I can see why people want Ben Affleck to come back, but at the same time, I see it as Josh, what you were saying with moving on, trying to get the next best thing. Feel like maybe in the long run that might be better for Ben Affleck's career.
Maybe. I do think that like. I don't think he's done with playing the role as Batman. I think it really depends on which director he's put up with. Because what I've noticed is that he actually had a fun time playing as Batman when Zack Snyder was directing. when Joss Whedon took
Yeah.
over in Justice League, he almost wanted to drop he basically wanted to drop the mantle as Batman altogether, and that's why they decided to throw in Robert Pattinson as the new Batman. So, with that being said, I think that and that's where it slowly leads up to the Snyderverse, which we're gonna get to that in a little bit. But in that regard, it made Ben Affleck wanted to maybe still slowly back away from the DC EU, and even Henry Cavill almost did the same thing as well. So you can tell the actors are passionate about their characters. It's just the fact that when there's executive decisions that constantly change what the characters' morals are, that's when people have an issue, and including the fans.
Mm.
See, it's such a tough spot for Ben Affleck with what's happened to him in also the recent years. Ever since he did go with being the Batman, I did get excited because it was an older Bruce Wayne. And the thing is, and it was unfortunate because I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you guys know, but I believe he had to go to rehab, right?
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, he had to go to rehab. He just divorced his wife after.
Oh yeah, with Jennifer Gardner, yeah.
Yeah, after Justice League, and there was a lot of things that happened during Justice League when Joss Whedon took over. So
yeah,
when Joss Whedon took over, he totally ruined the movie. No one really liked it. It wasn't really well received, right?
Yeah.
So, and the thing is with the movie, it was almost cursed because we look at Zack Snyder, who was a director, right? And his daughter passed. His daughter passed away. His daughter was sick during the time. That's why he had to step down from the movie. He shot I think 80% of the movie, I believe, and then, or I think 100. I don't know what percentage, but a huge chunk of the movie, and then he had to pass it on to Joss Whedon to finish it, right? So, and then
actually, no, she wasn't sick. She unfortunately
passed away.
committed suicide.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. I knew there was a family matter he needed to tend to. That's sad though. That's even sadder.
Yeah, that's what I found out.
That's wow. But that makes it even more heartbreaking because in the end of the Snyder Cut, right, of the recent Snyder Cut, which was very successful, was his daughter's name August by chance?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the movie, he said, in loving memory of August, his daughter. And I'm like, whoa. But that movie, man, was at the time it really hit everybody differently. Zack Snyder's daughter passing away, committing suicide. Now that I know, that's even sadder than what I thought it was. And then Ben Affleck going through, he rehabbed, divorcing his wife, and then Henry Cavill being hated by Warner Brothers because he wanted more money to continue as Superman. And so there's a lot of issues there too.
I mean, who wouldn't? It's basically saying not having Robert Downey Jr. continue on as Tony Stark when really he's making billions from his films.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill is literally the lead superhero next to Batman for a Ben Affleck. So if you think about it, I think I don't blame Henry Cavill. Want to ask for more money? I think what he's asking for is a little much right now, but I totally get his reasoning.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very tough time back then, and it was already talks about because back in 2000, I think the Man of Steel came out in 2015, or no, came out earlier.
No, way early.
Way earlier, right?
No,
So-
Man of Steel was 2013, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never mind. It wasn't that long.
And in my opinion, I remember ever since I was a kid, I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan, right? So the thing is, looking at the older Superman movies, I was not impressed. I was thinking, have you guys seen the third movie of The Matrix, where Neo is fighting?
Yes, I have.
In the air, and he's fighting, the bad guy in the air and whatnot. To me, I wanted to see something huge like that with Superman, right? And to me, when we got it with Man of Steel, to me, it's one of my most favorite movies with Man of Steel, like as a Superman movie, because he was
Yeah.
fighting Zod in the air, and it was so like strong and epic. Like it looks so epic, right? So, um,
The
but
older
and
Superman movies are all right, like with
they're all
Christopher
right.
Reeves and
Yeah, they're all right, and I just wanted to see the power behind Superman's punches. Like it's like
hmm
a movie that represents the power of Superman, right? So, and I thought that
yeah.
one did it, in my opinion. But the reason why I'm bringing that up, though, real quick, is Zack Snyder directed that movie, right? And then he directed Batman v Superman, and then he directed. He was going to direct and finish Justice League, right, back then, and there was this
hmm
talks of Zack Snyder being um, uh, being the one to create the DC universe, right? Because I mean, Man of Steel did very well in the box office, right? Batman v Superman didn't do very well, but but
No,
then but there was this whole idea that he would be the main head of putting the ideas towards what DC would do.
He would be
Just
the
like
DC version of Kevin Feige.
exactly, yeah, exactly. And so, but
yeah.
ever since that year of him not being able to finish the movie, and with his daughter and all these other wrong things, the studio looked at all of that and being like, you know what, we cannot continue with his vision. So,
It's
and
also
now we're,
because they wanted money, right?
yeah,
They wanted to bring the movie out. They didn't care about what was going on with
yeah,
Zack Snyder's family issue. They're like, nope, just
exactly,
bring the movie out, get Joss Whedon on board, and yeah, just the movie itself suffers in the long run, and the fans suffered because they wanted to see the movie handled properly, and I feel like that's a lot of the reasons why there was a lot of toxicity because fans were pissed off at Warner Brothers for being greedy, basically, and not understanding of Zack Snyder.
exactly. And for years, the fans fought and fought to get the Snyder cut out, and my guy, that
I just,
movie is crazy good. Like to me,
I
it's
just,
so good.
I know, I just can't justify the means though, like being so toxic towards like the people who
Oh,
worked on it. Like,
See,
definitely.
just
here's the thing. Like that, the the Snyder cut of Justice League proves what was the problem with Warner Brothers
Yeah,
interfering in their movies a little too much. They've done that with Batman v Superman. They've done that with Suicide Squad, and they've done
Yeah.
that now with Justice League. And the
Yeah.
fans are getting tired of it, and I don't blame them one bit. Here's the thing: from from like an aspiring scriptwriter like myself, if an executive producer or at least like some sort of film studio says you need to rechange all of this because we can't afford because it doesn't because it's not going to relate well to audiences, they don't know that because fans of certain films that they grew up with, right? Or like
Mhm.
let's just say there's a new creative idea that should at least be given a chance because you never know if it's going to be successful. And with the success of like HBO Max's like Zack Snyder version of Justice League, it went from like the original Justice League for being the third worst film in the DC EU to now the fourth best in the DC EU. Like it went up like a few slots just for the remake alone. So you could tell that Warner Brothers need to just take a hike and at
yeah,
least let the executive producers of the film focus on their vision. They should
Yeah.
not, and I repeat, should not interfere unless the film is going backwards. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
as someone who's actually worked on a couple of films already, as a part of like being part of a film set, I trust the directors and the executive producers of knowing what they're doing. It's their responsibility. They should be in charge of doing what is best for their vision, right?
Yeah.
But they shouldn't. But they should not interfere with the fans with like trying to change every single little thing just to like play it safe. Like the perfect film example of playing it safe was Suicide Squad. Like
Yeah.
you could tell that was not David Ayer's vision. You could tell. Like you can even see like in some of the responses that he said, being like there were some alternate changes that he wanted to do, but he didn't want to do it, but he had to. So, like if they would have done what Kevin Feige has done and let him do whatever the hell he wants, the DCEU would just be successful. And that is why Warner Brothers is getting a lot of hate right now, but they're not being open-minded to understand with the fans. That is why Warner Brothers is being greedy, and they're not doing it as successful as what Disney is. Sorry, I had to go on a tangent for that.
No, but
no
you have a
worries.
point. You have a point.
You do have a point. I'm just trying to say that I think it's better. Like, I understand why the fans were pissed off at Warner Brothers, because it's shitty what they're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I feel like when you have toxicity both ways, nobody wins in the end. But you're basically fighting fire with fire.
Yeah.
I feel like the better way to go about it is to have positive energy. Like, if the fans were more so like out of love for Zack Snyder and wanting to see his vision, show that they love the characters, they love the story, they just want to see it improved. I feel like that would have given Warner Brothers more of a reason to be like, you know what, let's try it, let's take a chance on it.
Yeah, like another example.
But at the same time,
sorry, go ahead.
But at the same time, without some of that negativity, Warner Brothers may or may not have just ignored it and been like, whatever, we got our money.
Right.
It's ultimately, I see it as a lose-lose scenario, but ultimately the fans got the movie they wanted to see in the end, and Zack Snyder got to make the movie that he wanted.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that it was achieved through years of backlash.
Yeah, and it didn't stop there. Like Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg, like he expressed his thoughts and concern on the Justice League film set.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I totally forgot to mention that. That's another thing. Apparently, he said that he experienced harassment, possibly racism, on set by two producers that he will not name.
He also expressed that like his role and Flash's roles were reduced to a minimum, and apparently all characters that were POC, their roles almost got cut out of the film entirely. At first, I didn't notice that until after I saw the recut, and I'm like, okay, I see what he's saying.
And what is with studios doing that, like reducing people of color's roles? Like that, honestly, it really gets to me, because it's like, you're going to cast people of color as these characters, but you're going to make their roles almost nothing, so you might as well not even cast them.
So, yeah, like, it's basically saying, make it a film of, like, a Black Panther, but without all the people of Wakanda. Like, it's pretty much that example. Like,
you don't have a movie.
Yeah, like, you don't have a movie without any kind of, like, distinction or, like,
any kind of diversity towards other characters. And like, it's not the, like, what I don't quite understand is why, and that's the issue of what's going on in the film industry at times. They focus more on what is considered proper storytelling when that is not exactly proper in terms of casting.
I want to bring this up too with what we're talking about with people of color being cast in roles and basically getting nothing. That's a big thing going on with John Boyega, who played Finn in the Star Wars sequels, right? He's been very, very vocal about feeling very mistreated by Disney.
Understandable.
Because in the Force Awakens, they marketed him as the Jedi of the new trilogy. They showed him with the lightsaber, the famous Skywalker lightsaber, right? In all the marketing, all the posters, all the teasers, he was the one using the lightsaber. And by the end of the movie, he's defeated in battle. The lightsaber goes to Rey, and she defeats Kylo Ren. But then in the rest of the trilogy, he gets nothing. He gets sidelined. He's reduced to not a comic relief, but basically all his character development happened in the first movie, and then he gets nothing after that. He's just kind of there. And it's so unfortunate because John Boyega is a great actor,
Great actor for sure.
but given nothing interesting outside of episode 7 to work with.
The
And that's a
only
huge waste.
the only movie, looking at the list of movies that he was supposed to be the lead, was Pacific Rim Uprising. I don't know if you guys seen that movie.
Oh, I know about that. Yeah.
And he was, I liked him. I liked him in that movie. I thought he was really cool, and I think he should get more lead roles similar to that, you know?
He should.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I know we were gonna hold off on Falcon and the Winter Soldier for a bit, but Anthony Mackie with the Winter Soldier series, I appreciate how they're bringing up the issues with racism and stuff like that. They're very subtle about it, but at the same time, like what they talk about, they're at least a little bit more subtle with it. But you can tell that they're bringing up the fact that nobody's gonna let a black man be Captain America.
Yeah,
And
which is like an interesting take on their story for it, because like if you look back at the comics, like they met there was like one Captain America issue where like it had Isaiah Bradley be as Captain America, right? They
Yeah.
brought that into the story, and that was actually a forgotten story in the comics. I think no one really knew about that at that time until it was mentioned in Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the second episode. That was actually very impactful. I will say that. I did not expect Marvel to go in that direction, but the way that they went about it, they handled it very well. I was impressed.
I think for like there's a huge theory. I won't mention it here. I'll mention it next episode. But there is a huge theory I came up with, guys, for what I saw on this recent episode. And Josh, I want to see your opinion on that too when you see the episode.
Oh,
as
trust
well,
me. Like
because-
I was trying to watch it today,
No,
but
it's all good.
But my streaming service was like not working, so I had to
No.
put it on.
Nah, Disney Plus didn't like you today.
No, apparently not. Oh well.
The DC EU it was a mess for a while. We got to be honest out there, and it took, and the studios didn't want to wait for Ben Affleck to get better. They didn't want to wait for. I mean, they even got hit with Amber Heard. You know, with the abuse.
that's-
You know,
don't
like,
even.
I
don't
know.
even start
I-
me on that.
I know, but like but I mean, but you know what I mean. The list of things that's gone on for that studio has been endless, almost. Like it's been constant, and like with Marvel, like the only backlash that I can think of right now is like, aside from the talks of Spider-Man, like the early talks about Spider-Man being in the MCU, you know, and then what was it? Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
you know,
controversy over Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. Like those are like the two that I know of. But what's another controversy that you guys know of with Marvel? I don't
Those are
remember.
really the only big controversies that happened
Exactly.
in the MCU. Like after Sony tried to revoke Spider-Man back, fans were not happy about that. They were like angry cats, being like, "Yeah, give it back." You know what I mean?
I guess with also people trying to discredit Stan Lee ever since his passing, that's not so much of a controversy as it is like, really, man, like
No.
you're basically pissing on the man's grave. Like let him rest. Let him leave the legacy that he's left behind, because he's
Yeah.
whatever. It doesn't matter to me what he may have done during his life that was like less than stellar. The fact of the matter is he inspired a generation of fans, and
Yeah.
that at the end of the day is it means more than anything.
Now he's resting in the
I mean-
heavens with T'Challa.
He said it in an interview. Like, you go back and look up what he said. Like, he said he's just happy that people are creating movies, you know, and like recreating his stuff. Like, he was a creator of the comics, right? He was part creator of the comics, right? So for him to see his work come to life in so many ways, it's just, the man is happy. Like, I think it's like, again, it's like if for any creator, if you create something for the world and then they fall in love with it, and then they go and run with it, and and they get inspiration from it as well. Like it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. So
You know what I think is kind of a scary coincidence, though?
Hmm.
Disney Plus launched in North America 1 year to the day after Stan Lee passed away.
Oof, damn.
1 year
Yeah.
exact.
November. 1 year exactly, November 12th.
Okay, that is kind of freaky.
That's
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's very interesting.
I definitely don't think it was intentional. It was just the day that they picked, right? But it's still just like, wow.
Well, I mean, the man, the man has really made people happy in ways of like inspiration of superheroes, and also big corporations money, so
Yeah.
so
I'd like to shift gears a little bit and actually debate with you guys about Netflix versus Disney Plus. Like, what service do we think honestly has the better stuff, the more longevity and stuff like that? I want to know what you guys think.
Right. So this is where it's going to go into another battle between Coke versus Pepsi because it's literally they're both pretty much the same. It's just the only difference.
That's a decent analogy.
That's a very decent analogy.
like it's literally like both of them are pretty much on the same wavelength now. It's just the fact that
Yeah.
who can produce better products. Like if that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have personally tried. So this is the ones that I currently have tried and consistently tried. Amazon Prime Video, right?
Yep.
Netflix, of course. Disney Plus. I just got HBO Max because of the Snyder Cut, and like of course, and then let's see, what's another one that I have. I mean, my brother has anime like Crunchyroll, but Funimation. But we're not going to talk about that. That's just in its own little genre in itself, and no, huge genre, I should say, not little. But okay, I'll say which one I think is the best for what I think. Netflix has its own properties and it's huge. The Witcher, Stranger Things. I can't think of anything else on the top of my head, but there's a lot of
The
movies and TV
Umbrella
shows.
Academy.
Yeah, The Umbrella Academy, which is like my favorite as well. Anything superhero would be great in there. I just started watching HBO, very expensive, but and not worth the price. Being honest with you guys, unless you're just going to do what I did in terms of just watching something that just like a movie that they're announcing. Oh, the Snyder Cut just is going to drop in HBO Max. Go and watch it. So I would and watch it for 7 days and then stop watching it. Just unsubscribe if I can, right? So, and then Amazon Prime, The Boys was really good. Invincible, I recommend too. It's very adult rated TV show, show as well. And then to the other big giant Disney Plus. Disney Plus has a lot of good things too. A lot of good things. So, but
I think in terms of Netflix, my opinion with Netflix and Disney Plus is that I give one edge to Netflix because of its breadth and variety of content, because it definitely has more in terms of sheer volume. The edge that I have to give to Disney is major part of it is because of all the brands they own.
Can we be real here for a second? If the MCU was never in part of Disney's hands, Disney Plus wouldn't exist. Because majority of the content is on Disney Plus is literally the MCU.
Yeah, MCU and Star Wars are basically the driving force behind Disney Plus, basically, and all the content they got from Fox.
Yeah, that's the only reason why. Because when Disney offered a deal to Fox to buy all their film and TV properties, and then Fox could just keep all their sports networks and their news networks at their own brands. When they made that deal, like Disney sacrificed an arm and a leg to get that freaking to get all the X-Men rights back. You could tell that Disney was literally going all in to keep Kevin Feige happy and get the X-Men characters and the Fantastic Four characters back.
So
Yeah.
so like I know that Disney wasn't really going to be doing much for the next little bit, but I knew that Marvel is still going to bring them money no matter what. So it was a good investment on their part, but I know for a fact that they're not going to see any new revenue come up until maybe 5-6 years down the line. And I think they made the purchase around in 2019, so far they're only 2 years in. They're slowly starting to make ground,
Yeah.
but I think maybe when in the next 3-4 years, that's when they're slowly going to see profit.
Honestly, between the two, I mean, Disney is huge. And for what you guys said, it's true. Disney is like huge and in itself. And I mean, if I had to choose one of the two, Netflix or Disney, I feel like I would have to go with. Well, oh God, man, it's just tough. Like, I mean, I love Netflix for the things that they had and whatnot. I feel like, but Disney has a lot of properties that's very well loved, especially for kids. You know.
Oh yeah.
So.
Hands down.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I think
There's
Disney
just-
Plus. I think Disney Plus is more focused on kid-friendly, PG-13 audience. Whether you got Netflix, that's more so PG-13, 14 plus audience. So it really depends on like if you have any
Some
kids back in
R-rated
the
stuff,
house,
too.
and some R-rated stuff too. So it really depends if you wanted to like bring your kids to watch a Netflix film. You really gotta hope that like they're really mature for their age. Otherwise, I don't really see a point. But I think Disney Plus will be more suited towards the younger audience. So again, it really depends. But for the older audience that want to go with Disney Plus, they have Grey's Anatomy. They have like The Simpsons. They have some of the Marvel shows that are actually pretty dark, which is surprising for the Disney Plus era. But again, if I had to pick between the two, I'd go with Cody.
Oh my gosh.
Because Cody has everything, so I don't need to pick a streaming service. I can just be like, oh, there it is, I'll take it. I'm just kidding. But for real though, I would prefer Netflix just because I don't like. The only time that I would go on Disney Plus was just to watch the Marvel TV series. That's it. Like if they don't have the Marvel TV series that are like original series on Disney Plus, I wouldn't even bother getting that in the first place.
Like if we're talking before COVID, right? I remember for the way I would support Disney with their movies is going to the theaters. You know, I mean, like I would definitely go to the theaters and watch the movies, the Marvel movies, the Star Wars movies, you know, and be able to support them that way because seeing them in a big screen is like it's where they were made to be, you know, and then but and then when it came to Netflix, I mean, I would be opening up Netflix, and there was a lot of good shows that I would watch as well, right? And they have a lot of good stuff like for mature audiences and whatnot. Like it's nothing. It's really they're still up there in my opinion, you know. But there's a quality to them that you start to notice. I think if you guys, I do encourage you, if you guys ever have the chance to like look at shows from other streaming sites, like the other two that I mentioned, HBO Max or Amazon, I do encourage you to check out how they produce their stuff and then compare them to how Netflix and Disney does their stuff, because even though Disney has their high budget stuff and whatever, and they have a lot of money to throw around, Netflix, I feel like they're really smart in how I feel like they do a lot of things that are budget friendly, but it works.
Yeah,
So,
and I wouldn't
yeah.
sleep on Amazon Prime too much because they're slowly starting to get popular. And you can tell with the
Slowly.
Boys series that they put Amazon Prime on the map.
Yeah.
I wish Amazon Prime would change up their how they handle their series and stuff. I hate how every season of a series is separate. It's all separate headings and stuff like that. You have to go to each different thing to watch a different season, and I don't like the way it's organized between like
Oh yeah, that's
what you have.
yeah.
What you have access to on Prime isn't too different from what you don't have access to, and I feel like, look, when I pay for a streaming service, I want to be able to watch everything that's on there. I shouldn't have to buy or rent another movie or show that's on there, you know? I shouldn't have to pay. I shouldn't have to pay for all these extra add-ons if I want to watch that content. At least when Disney Plus launched Star, right, the expansion that added like all the adult content, they included that in the original thing, basically. So, yeah, the price went up, but you get all that content as long as you set your content rating to the highest rating. Then you'll get everything. I like how Netflix and Disney Plus are organized, especially Disney Plus for how it organizes everything under the headings, and then you can search and stuff like that. I feel like that's really handy. But I feel like in terms of longevity, Netflix I think has an issue where you've got all these big companies that they used to have deals with, like Disney, going off making their own streaming services and pulling their content away from Netflix. So in the long run, Netflix has to keep being successful, pumping out original after original and have it be a hit. Otherwise, they risk failure.
That's a very good point, and like I think,
Yeah.
in the like, I don't see Netflix failing anytime soon.
Oh no.
But like I do think that like the issue with like different film studios and TV networks pulling away from Netflix, that's when Netflix is gonna have a problem. I don't think it's gonna die, but I do think it's slowly gonna disappear within a decade if they don't change up, like if they don't come up with something new.
It'll lose its relevancy because you think back when Netflix launched its streaming service, right? Because it was a video delivery service before it was streaming, right?
Yeah.
Um,
They had their own little like you can go to a store and you can actually rent out the DVD from like it was like a vending machine.
Oh yeah,
Like that's how they started.
I think so. I think it was delivered to your door. Actually, I'm not exactly sure. You think back to when they launched, right? They had all this stuff that was from other companies, and you could just watch everything. Like for the first couple of years, I don't think they had any of their own original programming. And then they started getting it, and they just been pumping out even more as the years have gone on.
yeah, and that's how Netflix got popular. First, they released their series with House of Cards, then Orange Is the New Black, and then Daredevil before it got canceled. Like it's just like Netflix at that time was a gold mine. Now
Absolutely.
now everyone is copying the Netflix formula, but like obviously no one's gonna stick away from the OG for Netflix unless someone does something better. And I think Disney Plus might eventually surpass Netflix, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
It's very quickly overtaking it, just not like blowing it out of the water,
No, yeah, no,
right?
no.
But Disney Plus definitely has that advantage where it has all these recognizable brands. Netflix, I feel like they aren't as recognizable or have as much nostalgic appeal as much as what Disney has.
See, I
Right.
think like Netflix does have good content. They just need to showcase
Oh,
it
yeah.
more. Like for example, if they want to show a Netflix logo, they need to like show in the Stranger Things font. They need to show in characters from the Umbrella Academy to come in. Maybe you could also throw in Tiger King on that one as well. Like, there's different various.
Oh my god.
Like like there's different various ways to showcase their brand in like their popular series that they have. Like, I just feel like their marketing department needs to be a little bit improved. But that doesn't mean that they are trying to do something more unique in that aspect.
In the meantime, I think they need to be avoiding movies that have illegal stuff, such as remember the Cuties film last year?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
that was
my-
really really messed up.
That was
Yeah.
It was basically like you guys remember the 1990 film Kids? That was even worse. So for them to like do the same thing with Cuties, well, like not the exact same way, but basically showcasing minors doing inappropriate dancing, it's like
not right.
why is this still happening? I don't quite understand it. It's gross. It's disgusting. Like whoever was behind that film, literally, the idea shouldn't have been brought to Netflix in the first place. Hell, they should have examined the ideas before let them go on board in the first place.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't even remember where it said the film came from. I think it was France or something like that. when you bring a movie like that to America, to the Americas, you have to understand that you're dealing with different ideologies about what is considered appropriate behavior, and I don't care if the message of the movie was supposed to be like
Empowerment.
I don't even know what empowerment. I guess empowerment, or being true to yourself or whatever, because that's not a great way of expressing it. Having underage kids performing stuff they shouldn't be performing at that age, just is not the way to go about it. You don't need to say that something like that is wrong for people to understand that it's wrong. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't even watch the trailer for that movie. I was so disgusted by it. I went on Netflix, searched the movie, gave it a bad rating, and then left.
I like that. That's good, Nathan. Good.
I couldn't bring myself to like cancel Netflix because there was a lot of people that were doing that, like were canceling their subscriptions and calling them words I won't say here. But because there's still tons of stuff I want to watch on Netflix.
Yeah, like I think Netflix made a mistake. I think that the CEO of Netflix, I believe they recognize their mistakes on that they should have done more checks on the films that are being produced and should have had more of an insight on what is being put onto their brand. Because
they're allowing to be brought to their platform.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
I can almost agree with Disney being, I don't know if you guys knew about this, there was supposed to be a Lizzie McGuire, adult series for Disney+.
I heard about that,
really?
Yeah.
But it unfortunately was finally canceled. Hilary Duff shared the news. But it was basically because Disney freaked out because they were in production of it, but because it was too adult for what they I guess they didn't like the way it was going. They put the project on the shelf, sat on it for a while. Hilary Duff wanted the show to get moved to Hulu, but ultimately they said nope. But it's clear that in terms of what they allow on their platform, Disney is a little bit stringent. Sometimes it's understandable, other times it's really? But especially now that they have the adult content, it's well, couldn't you have just done it now?
Yeah, and here's what confuses me, is that, they're planning to Marvel's making Deadpool 3, and they know what the state of COVID that's out right now. They're not going to put it in theaters, and it's not going on Disney+, it's going on Hulu. Why can't they just get the Lizzie McGuire series over down to Hulu like they're doing with Deadpool 3? They let Marvel do it. Why can't they let Hilary Duff get that pass for that?
Right.
I don't know.
I think we're gonna get Deadpool 3 though because of the Star branding on Disney Plus. That's what Hulu is for Canada and other international countries. So I think we'll definitely get it. But I think I've seen you saying this on social media, Josh, that Disney needs to let the creators have that full control of Deadpool and not try to tone it down because it goes against the character.
Yeah, you could tell Ryan Reynolds was very adamant, being do not touch fucking Deadpool 3. And then Disney's okay, we're gonna let you have it. I could just see, the memes being with Ryan Reynolds going up to the executive of Disney, Bob Iger, and be do not fucking touch Deadpool 3. It's supposed to be rated R. Do not make it PG-13, because if you do, I will throw a riot and you're going to have to deal with the fans. Kevin Feige just sat back and then just got his head being he's serious. And then Bob Iger was okay, let it go into production. And then that's when everybody just started to sigh in relief. Because here's the thing. When Fox did the first 2 Deadpool films before their properties got bought, that was when that's when Fox slowly started to get really good again. The only way that they were going to get money was through their X-Men series, but even then, the brand wasn't even doing that well because most of them were just half-assed, except for Days of Futures Past and the Deadpool films. But that doesn't mean that the executives had good creative control. It's just like most of the films they had very bad writing. Ryan Reynolds written, directed, and produced the film. He did all of it. So
he did very well in the box office.
So if anything, Deadpool is pretty much Ryan Reynolds' property at this point. So you might as well just let him do whatever he wants. And Ryan Reynolds is basically the embodiment of Wade Wilson regardless. So it's like, if you piss off Ryan Reynolds, you're going to piss off the fans. And everyone knows that you don't want to mess with Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool property because he will go off. So,
Well, ultimately, Disney's going to make money anyway, so they have no reason to mess with it.
Yeah, so why touch something that isn't need to be touched? Like, it's like a giant statue that's like covered in gold. Like, you don't want to touch it. Like, it ruins its value.
But that's the problem with producers or executive producers and like the companies and the higher ups, just looking at like the directors being like, do this, do that. Like I'm gonna pull this out. Right? Yeah, Sam Raimi, right? The director of the first 3 Spider-Man movies, right? The third one was the worst with Venom, right?
That was because Sony interfered and said you need to put Venom in there. And Sam Raimi's like, no, we're not doing it. And then Sony put their foot down, being like, yeah, you need to put Venom in there or we're pulling it. So then he's like,
and
it forced the movie to have 3 villains, and it didn't do very well with having 3 villains because it was too much for the story to handle.
See, the only directors I accept to do, like right now anyways, to do multiple characters at once, the multiple stories, is the Josh, is the brothers that did Civil War.
The Russo brothers, right?
Oh yeah, the Russo brothers. Yeah, like they could juggle literally 2,000 characters and the movie would still be good.
Exactly. Like they do so well, and that's why they were picked for Infinity War and Endgame. And look at how great those movies turned out. Like, it's so good. The fluid like how connected every character was able to work with each other, and they wrote it very well. Like, the brothers did it very well. Like, I think one of the brothers had, like, they wrote it and the other brother directed it. Like, the visual, like, they worked together and very well. So and there's not another director out there or directors out there that I know of that does it very well to put together 2 different characters and multiple different characters together in the screen, right? And poor Sam Raimi, unfortunately, he didn't feel comfortable doing it with Venom in the movie back then, and unfortunately he didn't even get Venom. That's the reason why he didn't want him in there, right? So he and unfortunately it botched because it wasn't accurate like representation of what Venom was. It's true though. Like, I mean, these high executive producers and the higher ups need to just chill and let the creatives do their thing, because, like, I mean, sometimes it's just it just has to be done, and that's what's gonna, because it's becoming more and more that the directors are gonna get more of a fan base too, right? Mm-hmm. Like, again, going and swinging all the way back to like Zack Snyder, right? And what happened with him? Now we got a movie from him. So
goes into the same issue happened with the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Honestly, Disney meddled in too much with not having a plan, just being very reactionary with how each movie performed, basically. Mm-hmm. And it ultimately led to the movies being the way that they were. They had almost no cohesion between them. Characters that were previously important got sidelined. And ultimately it was just very, very unsatisfying. And it ultimately, I feel like, a major reason why Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are basically in charge of Star Wars going forward is because Disney's looking at their track record with their projects, right? Jon Favreau with Marvel and Dave Filoni with the animated Star Wars projects is Disney being like, these guys know what they're doing, leave them to it.
Yeah. I think when it comes to a storyline, for sure, to be able to have something just be fluid, especially for the fans, and just whatnot. I guess there is a time when it comes to making your own story, you can do whatever you want. I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
are cinematic masterpieces out there that exists. I I'll give an example, like, for anybody who's listening. Like, one of my favorite movies that I thought the story was like really good, like, to me, it was called The Green Book, and it was really really good. It tackled racism back in the day, and I didn't even know this. Green books apparently uh, for they were for people of color to navigate around within America easier without hitting any zones that were going to hit, like racist cops or whatnot, and racist communities. So it's a really touching story, and I would recommend anybody want to watch it. And to me, it's one of the examples of a well written movie, well shot movie from beginning to end. I thought it was just really really good. But the thing is, when it comes to movies like Star Wars and Marvel, there has to be sort of a sequence of, it has to make sense and tie into the universe.
Yeah.
Star Wars is a universe, and Marvel is a universe. So, and a big thing that, aside from the producers and the high executives, and they're not the only ones that can mess up a movie, right? Like Nathan, the newest trilogy of Star Wars, right? Like, I mean, that was ruined by the second movie, in a way.
Yeah.
And then the third
Because
movie. Okay, yeah, yeah.
sorry, because Disney let Ryan Johnson do whatever because they had no plan. They just let him be like, okay, yeah, just come up with whatever you want. Let's have Luke be on an island, which that original plan, Ryan Johnson's vision for having Luke be on an island, be depressed and everything from the betrayal of one of his students, that was actually George Lucas's idea. So,
Mm-hmm.
The Last Jedi, in that regard, was actually the closest film to George Lucas's original vision for the sequel trilogy. Because when he sold it to Disney, they basically promised him they were going to use his outline, and then they didn't. They lied to his face.
See, and that's something that really, like, irks me, because it really, looking at that movie, like, I mean, you grew to love the movie. You told me the one day, right? And but the thing is, like, looking at the movie, being honest with you, it does feel like Ryan Johnson, right? Ryan
Yeah,
Johnson looked at The Force Awakens. Oh, I got all this material to work with. You know what? Nah, I don't want to use any of it. It's all garbage. And then he just goes and does his own thing. It kind of like it kind of it's like he didn't want to. To be honest with you, it's like he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it, to me.
actually,
And
well, I kind of disagree.
oh, okay,
I feel like Ryan Johnson looked at what went with The Force Awakens, and he felt like the movie played it safe, which it did.
okay,
And
fair.
one thing that he was actually pretty open about was when he was writing The Last Jedi, he wanted every character to be challenged in some way.
Okay.
And I feel like ultimately it worked better in some ways than in others. But ultimately, I appreciate the movie for taking risks. Because you look at The Rise of Skywalker, and you have J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio basically saying that, oh, we had nowhere to go. The Last Jedi wrote us into a corner. And it's like, no, it didn't write you into a corner. You could have gone everywhere, but you chose to play it safe once again, bring back a villain that had already been dead, had been killed off years ago, bring him back in a way that makes absolutely no sense, and the movie suffered in the long run for it. Rey's a Palpatine now. Oh, really? I thought it made sense that she was a nobody. It going into the whole thing that anybody can be powerful with the Force, but no. Now it's once again, oh, you have to be part of a special lineage to have the Force.
Do you think they had a pre plan, a pre like idea about Ray when they first started The Force Awakens? that
No, they
she
had
would like. Okay.
no, they had absolutely nothing. Like they had different ideas. Daisy Ridley actually revealed that they toyed around with an Obi-Wan Kenobi connection. That she was going to be a nobody. It kept changing the whole time, across the trilogy basically. It was constantly changing whether she was who she was related to and everything. And it was literally last minute. Oh, she's a Palpatine.
It would have been cooler if she was a nobody, wouldn't it? You know,
It would
I
have made
think
more sense.
it would have made more sense, and I think it would have been cooler, because it's like signaling the fact that it's like anybody could be an awesome Jedi, not just a Skywalker, you know, not just a Palpatine, you know, not like somebody who's not from the lineage of powerful, you know, Force users. It can I think it would have been a better message for sure if it was by just anybody can be an awesome Jedi. I think that was a missed opportunity in a way.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still love the trilogy. Like, I mean, there's not like I mean, I'll still give it a high praise. I'll still say it's a really nice trilogy. So
It's all right. It's not the worst, not the best, definitely not the
Yeah.
best. But Josh, do you have any thoughts?
Well, you guys are more Star Wars experts than I am, but like, I will say that like, you know, the only Star Wars films I actually saw were the newest ones, which is like Force Awakens, and then like of the sequel. I actually didn't watch Rise of the Skywalker, but when I saw those two
bother.
films,
don't bother, yeah.
yeah, when I saw the Force Awakens, I was like at first it was cool, but then I'm like, this is not really for me. But then when I saw the sequel,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is definitely not for me. But like I see like where the inspiration like came from, and also why everybody likes the franchise so much. I think it's because that like when you have like too many different writers and too many different visions, that's when the story gets messed up. And I think it happens a lot. And it sucks for the Star Wars fans that like really loves the franchise, and that like it just constantly gets changes or retcon in various different ways, and it really sucks for them.
I'd really recommend, Josh, if you're gonna watch anything Star Wars, I really would recommend try watching The Mandalorian, because I really appreciate how the show. I think it's a great introduction for people who have seen Star Wars, and also for people who haven't, because you really don't need to know anything that came before to understand what's going on. It's basically its own thing. And because it's also the vision of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, you have a bit of that, you have some of that Marvel involvement there. But the show has a good heart and a good overall story and everything, and then honestly, it's one of the best things to come out since Disney bought Star Wars. I definitely want to hear your opinion if you do check it out. Like
Yeah, like
So
whenever I
what
get a
about
chance to watch Disney Plus, and when I finish up Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'll check it out.
But yeah, I think it'll just be interesting to get an outside, not really an outsider, but somebody who isn't a fan of Star Wars, get your opinion as someone who isn't a fan of Star Wars and what you think of the show.
Yeah.
And vice versa too. Like, you can suggest stuff to us that maybe we're not a fan of either.
No, it's fair. It's fair. Like,
I gotta be honest. Like, I mean, there's certain like the Marvel trilogy and the DC trilogy. Definitely, there are biases that I mean I would give, in terms of saying, oh yeah, it's just really good and whatever. But I try to be critical, especially with DC, especially what they have done in the past and what they're doing wrong, and I hope that they get better with things as time goes on.
every
But
single movie and TV
Yeah.
series I ever watch, I am always being critiquing on every single thing, all from the storytelling.
Always.
Actually, really, it's just the storytelling. Like, I don't really care too much about shot wise, unless it benefits the story. Like the one thing that like I would really like hope they fix the shots is literally what's the show called? Mr. Robot. The show, the shots are very awkward and in very weird positions. I'm like, why is the shots too high? Why is it like in why is it too wide out? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the atmosphere they're trying to come at towards it. Like, if the vibe is weird, I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's kind of not really needed. But I personally prefer that, mainly for movies and TV series, if they just focus on the, and we learned about this in, broadcasting class, is, stick with, the frame rate, stick with, the in-frame shots, 3D atmosphere kind of deal, but not perhaps having some over-the-shoulder shots, corner shots, those kind of deals. I do not want to see shots that just look very awkward. But as far as for storytelling wise, I am very much on the point being why is this related to the character? Why is the story going in this direction when it could have been this? You know this I always give up that kind of examples. You guys know me for a long time. I've always been like that. Especially with films like the Fantastic Four reboot. I even no words can describe how shitty that film was back in the day. I even warned I even warned you, Jose, not to see the film because the trailer itself was literally garbage. And what do you do,
You
buddy?
did warn me.
You saw the freaking film. I'm bro, the more brains, you're gonna lose a lot of brain cells the more horrible films that you see. But honestly,
yeah.
Guys, just to let you guys know, yes, he did warn me not to watch it, and I did watch it, and yes, I did lose brain cells.
Yeah, you see, I should be a film TV critic. I don't know if there's a career path for that. Well, actually, I don't know if you need a badge for that. I just feel I'm a self-made film critic at certain cases, but that's when I'm usually on the case where certain storytelling, and I feel that's a big deal. That is why I'm very passionate and driven on with film studios not to interfere with the storytelling because I feel it's their vision. Let them tell it how they want. Maybe limit certain boundaries, but at least give them free range to make them do whatever they want.
But it's also the same reason too. With the critiquing part, right? It's why when I edit videos, in the past, even now, I would love for you guys to always give advice on how it looks because the thing is it matters to the initial the first impression of the video on do you get it or not, right? And that's why it's important that you have people around you, especially for directors out here that directing movies, they have a good team behind them to give them good criticism, and that's what's going to make a good show, a good movie. It's important that it's constructive criticism, supportive criticism, to create something amazing, right? You don't want to tear down the idea completely, but at the same time, you want to make it that it works towards the vision of the director or the writer of the movie. So
Fair,
it's important too that in combination with the collaboration and the constructive criticism that studios do not meddle. That a studio should only meddle if it's clearly obvious in the production process that something is going wrong, but the studio needs to be working with the creative people and understand what's going on and say, okay, well, how would you guys feel about doing this? Asking for their input.
Yeah.
Not just the studio being oh, we're doing this, and the creatives being well, I don't want to do that. And the studio being well, too bad. It's our movie. It's our money.
It's not, but that's where it's wrong. It's not about money. It's not always about numbers. I mean, numbers do matter, but there is something about...
The studios can worry about the money. The creatives are the ones that need to worry about the story and the characters and everything and how it relates to the fans.
Yeah.
Right? First impressions are key, and I feel and tie it back into Justice League, the Joss Whedon cut failed so miserably in that regard because it was rushed. It had that horrible monstrous CGI Henry Cavill mustache.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that
like as soon as I saw the very first scene with Henry Cavill with his mustache, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, I bet Nathan would have done a better job with that. Like, he's really good at like going into visual effects and all that shit. I was like,
I honestly feel bad for the CGI artists because that is honestly that kind of stuff is very hard. Any time that you do anything with faces, like humans
hard.
and stuff like that, oh my, it's so hard because it goes into the uncanny valley and stuff like that, right? So honestly, I just feel like it's unfortunate. It's not really Joss Whedon's fault that they had to do reshoots and stuff like that because clearly, something happened. But it's like, man, just awkward.
Who have you guys seen the Snyder Cut by chance? Like,
I
who
haven't
has seen this?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, Josh, have you seen it?
I haven't watched the full thing, but I've seen majority of it.
So
Like the
yeah.
reason being is that the film itself is really long, and also the fact like I have a lot of other stuff going on. I'm editing videos for clients. I'm constantly
Yeah,
doing
no,
Zoom
yeah.
meetings.
It's what,
so
4
it's-
hours?
It's a 4-hour movie, so it's really long.
Oh boy.
but I gotta let you know, it's maybe again this is where the bias comes in. Like me being a DC fan, that movie was an easy 4 hours. Like that was the easiest 4 hours from beginning to end for me that I've ever experienced. I for not even a minute of that movie missed a beat for me. I felt that it had good comedic timing, it had good action, had everything, right? So, but
Man, that movie is almost as long as this video that I added it to my watch later on YouTube. It's I don't know if you guys have heard of The Right Opinion.
No.
He's English, like he has a thick English accent. But he talks about like drama situations, stuff like that. He's got a over 4 hour video on this Nikocado avocado guy needing serious help and whatnot, or the story about him and whatnot. But yeah, the whole video is like 4 hours and 45 minutes, I think.
wow.
But I just love his intro where he's like, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Opinion, the home of a twat with too much free time." he says that every video, and I laugh every time because it's like you have no problem calling yourself a twat.
Oh boy, that's true.
But no, you guys should check him out. He's a funny guy. He's a interesting fella. YouTube cross promotion.
It definitely is. I definitely like I would recommend you guys kind of looking at like some YouTube videos on the comparison with the Zack Snyder cut and the Joss Whedon cut for sure. You're gonna see like very different changes for sure.
Have you seen the trailer comparisons of like Joss Whedon's Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I have, and there's Joss Whedon looks like it was just slapped on lazy, and then Zack Snyder was lots of love and effort. So
While singing the Hallelujah song in the background. Oh my gosh.
yeah, literally big time.
You guys have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, let's call it here.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us once again on Nerd Legion. I'm Nathan,
Jose.
I'm Josh.
and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.